All right, well, I want to be cognizant of everyone's time, so I will just say a few words of thanks to our sponsors, to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Urban and Community Forestry Program. Their support helps us bring these cafes to you, and they are a provider of the Tree City USA information, and I'd be happy to help find more information for folks about that. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Aja, and thank you very much for being here today with us.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aja Gilbert. I am the program leader for the Imani Green Health Advocates, and I just have a brief presentation to share with you about our program. Let me share my screen. Alrighty, looks like it is loaded. So thank you all for joining today. The Imani Green Health Advocates is a really wonderful program located in the South Side, and I'm super excited to talk about all of the projects that we do. So just a general overview. First, what is IGHA? What are some of the projects that I'm talking about? And then I'll go over the 3 projects that we're currently working on, and some of the future of the IGHA and the future of some of our projects that we're also working on. So, there. Hopefully it doesn't go fast. I clicked it a bunch. So first, what is IGHA? IGHA is a job training program for youth between the ages of 18 to 25, and we're located in the far south side of Chicago. If you are from Chicago, think Pullman, Chatham, Roseland, Washington Heights, just the greater Pullman neighborhood. And we allow our advocates to explore a career in either community health or conservation through this paid 6-month internship. It was created by the Trinity United Church of Christ in partnership with Advocate Health Center and the Nature Conservancy, as well as a few other partners like the U.S. Forest Service, Morton Arboretum. And it's in its 6th year of programming, and every year we just get bigger and better and continue to do more and more work within the south side of Chicago, focusing on trees. So some of our projects include tree health monitoring, which is where we collect data on street trees within the south side of Chicago, collecting health data. And so we'll kind of walk through Chicago streets and collect health data of specific trees. Treesilience, which is maintaining existing trees and replacing dead or dying trees on private property. And then finally, our newest addition to some of our project goals is we have become Chicago Regional Trees Initiative Tree Ambassadors. And that is how we help residents request trees through the 3-in-1 Chicago app. So to get a little bit more into some of our projects, tree health monitoring, which is the bulk of our summer. As soon as the leaves start to bud in the summer, we'll start going out and monitoring the health of trees. And we do this through an app called Healthy Trees, Healthy Cities. It's actually been newly updated, and the launch is at the end of June. So if you're really interested in doing this work on your own, look for the launch for the new web-based app for Healthy Trees, Healthy Cities by the end of June. And this app was created by the Nature Conservancy to use just visual health assessments of trees. We don't actually, drill into the tree or look for any, we just do visual health assessments, and we don't necessarily do pest detection either. Hopefully in the future we can add pest detection to some of our work, but that's something that we would have to be trained on. And so when we're doing our visual assessments, the app actually is super useful, and it kind of guides you through all of the different assessments that you would have to do. So our first one is fine twig dieback. And that is essentially when you're looking at the whole crown of a tree and you look at the outside of it how much of that tree crown is missing leaves just on that edge of the tree. So that's called vine twig dieback. We have leaf defoliation, which is how much of the total area of a leaf has holes in it. Leaf discoloration, so like how much of the tree's crown are the leaves discolored? You know, are they chloronic? Are they too light? Or is there, you know, black rot on it? That kind of stuff. And then we also look at crown light exposure. So we're assessing, is this tree getting sun on all 5 sides, top, and then all the sides as well? Or is there a building blocking it? Is there another tree blocking it? And this also can impact the health of a tree. And then finally, we'll look at the crown transparency, which can vary depending on which tree we're looking at. You know, if we're looking at a honey locust, the crown transparency is going to be a lot higher versus like a maple tree. And that just means that we're looking at the tree and how much can we like see directly through it, like how many holes are there. And each tree is going to be different. And so the app actually takes all of that data that we input and gives that tree a crown vigor rating. And so a healthy tree is going to have a lower crown vigor rating, and an unhealthy tree will have a higher crown vigor rating. And the app is able to use collected data from everyone to decide, you know, is this tree in this neighborhood healthier or less healthy than similar trees in the same neighborhood? And that's how it's able to calculate that crown vigor rating. And we just collect this data for various purposes. A lot of it is, you know, how healthy are the trees in different neighborhoods? And you can take that data and say, like, is it due to, you know, like the income? Is it due to like the property taxes? Is it, you know, how close is it to a highway? And so you can take this street tree data and kind of put it into these different brackets and say like, okay, these trees are unhealthier here. Why? And what could contribute to that? And so a lot of the times we actually find that like the wealthier a neighborhood is, the bigger the houses are, the higher the property taxes are, there's way more trees. And the trees there just seem a lot healthier and seems to be thriving a lot more. Whereas in certain neighborhoods within Pullman, there's just a lot of dead trees or dying trees, or they're not as healthy. So that's something that we want to really instill in our advocates is, you know, there is a tree crown disparity. There's a disparity between healthy trees in neighborhoods, and we want our advocates to think about why that could be. And so this is a picture of my interns last year when we were out surveying some trees. We make them wear bright yellow vests with little name cards that say the Nature Conservancy, because we want people to know that we're doing a job. Oftentimes people think we're ticketing cars. So, you know, we want them to know like, no, we're not doing that. We're just doing tree health assessments. And oftentimes people kind of want to know what that means. And so while we're out there, we're actually engaging community members and telling them, you know, like how to assess a healthy tree. You know, is this tree actually healthy? Last year, a guy, you know, told me that the sycamore tree in front of his house was super unhealthy. It was dying, you know, like look at the bark flaking off of it. And I was actually able to educate him and tell him that, you know, actually sycamore tree bark looks like that. Normally, it's not an unhealthy tree. It's actually a very healthy tree. And so that's just a little bit a part of our work as well. Okay, so this is a screenshot of all of the trees that have been inputted in Healthy Trees, Healthy Cities. So this is not something that you have to do for a job. You can do this for fun. And you don't have to assess the health of trees. You know, if you decide to plant a tree in your yard and you want to record how often it's been watered, you could actually log that tree, give that tree a special name in the app, and then record every single time that you're watering that tree or every time that it's been pruned. You can also do pest detection, as I said, as well. And so as you can see, this is becoming more national. It's used a lot in Chicago because of the advocates and other similar teams within Chicago that are doing similar work. But it's definitely growing, and more people are starting to use this app to, you know, just start to assess street trees and also, you know, private property trees if you'd like. And on average, we're actually able to do about 1,400 trees per summer, just logging in all that data. We spend, you know, about 6 hours a day on nice days when it's not too hot and not rainy, just walking Chicago streets. All of our plots are actually randomly kind of assigned because it is data collection. So we want to make sure that we're using some sort of scientific process. And so we'll go to a random street plot that has been predetermined, and it's a half-mile long, and we'll walk one side of the street and collect all the data, and then we'll walk back down the other side of the street and collect all the data. And so we get a good half-mile of street tree data, and we get it at different little plots all around Chicago. And last summer we were able to do 1,400. And that's about, on average, how many we can do just in a summer. So the next goal is Treesilience. Treesilience title is called Leveling the Planting Field, which I love. It was created initially by the Nature Conservancy, and it's becoming a national initiative. It is focused on removing the barriers to healthy canopy, especially in neighborhoods where maybe it is not financially possible to have a healthy canopy. So we're focusing on areas that have threatened or lost canopy, and neighborhoods where they could really gain to have a more resilient urban forest. And all of our Treesilience work is actually done on private property, whereas our tree health monitoring is done on public property. So sometimes it gets a little confusing. And so within Treesilience, we have our free removals and maintenance. So homeowners that live in the neighborhoods that we have designated to be in need of canopy restoration can request we go out and assess their tree. And if that tree is for some reason, dead or dying, we will actually have that tree removed completely for free, as long as they let us plant a tree in its place. If the tree is very much alive, but just needs maintenance, like a pruning, we will also have that tree pruned for free as well, because obviously a healthy living old tree is going to do have a lot more environmental benefits in the long run than a young baby tree. It's going to take 20 years for that tree to start sequestering as much carbon as a fully mature tree. So we do both removals and maintenance, and I do like to stress that the maintenance is a part of our Treesilience work. There's also free site prep. So if someone would like a tree planted, but they have concrete cutting can also be done. We don't do it in Chicago, but this is a national initiative. So other cities who maybe would like to focus on site prep can use the grant funding to do that. And then, like I said, free replacement. As of right now, we are replacing all of our trees 2 to 1. So last year we removed 25 trees and we were able to plant 51 trees in their place. And that's the goal that I think every city for Treesilience also has. So a 2 to 1 replacement rate. And sometimes we don't always plant on the person's property that we removed on, but as long as it's in the general neighborhood or a place that it can really be beneficial, like a park where children are going to be, we'll also plant in that neighborhood as well. And this is a picture of a tree that we removed. This is a silver maple. It had really bad included bark. It was definitely dying. And the woman, she was so kind and so sweet. She cared for her elderly mother full time. And there's just no way that she was going to be able to afford the, I think, $4,000 that it cost to remove this tree. And it was at risk of falling on either her house or her neighbor's house. And, there was power lines there. And honestly, it was really wonderful. We were able to put in the request, and we do all of our contracting work through Davey Tree Services. So we put in the request to Davey. They went out there, they removed it really quickly. They even took out the stump. And then we were able to put this really beautiful tupelo tree in its place. And the woman was so thankful and so excited. And she was so excited for the fall colors and to see the tree grow. And I think that's really the important work that we're doing. Is initially when we talked to this woman, she had a lot of fear of trees. She was scared that this tree was going to fall on her house. There's just a lot of fear that trees can cause a lot of damage. But when we actually go out and talk to people and we alleviate that fear, they start to actually see the general beauty and benefits that trees can have in their communities. And that's really our number one goal. And then finally, our newest project is the Chicago Regional Trees Initiative Tree Ambassadors. This has just begun this year. So I don't have pictures or anything, but I'll just go over what the goal is for us. So our role as tree ambassadors is we canvass the neighborhoods by going door to door to talk to people actually about trees, which we already do in our everyday work with our Treesilience work and our tree health monitoring. So it's kind of just added into what we're already doing. We also will survey and submit potential tree planting sites. So this is all on the parkway. If we see that a neighborhood and maybe has like a really empty parkway, we can talk to the people within that neighborhood and ask them if they would like trees planted by the city for free. Yesterday, we actually had a really successful encounter where a guy said that the tree had been removed because it was dead and they wanted to put a new tree in its place for their grandmother. And so we were able to talk to them and get a tree put in the ground, and they were super excited. And they were talking about how they were going to water it and take care of it. And so just knocking on their door, we are able to kind of make their day and also make our day as well. We also reach out to groups in our community because we also have to host a number of workshops and a number of community events centered around trees and green spaces. We also engage residents in conversation. Like I said, we just talk to people a lot. We want people to understand the benefits of trees. And listening to residents' concerns is a really big part of it. Sometimes people don't actually want a tree, and that's okay. It takes time for every single person to come around to like the beauty of trees. And so we're not there to force trees on anyone. We just want to talk to people and understand that, yeah, you know, if you had a tree branch fall on your car, that is a very valid reason to be scared to ever have another tree in your front of your house. And so talking to people and really understanding where they're coming from and hoping that that community is where we'll actually see that change. And then we also will dispel common tree myths and misconceptions. You know, I'm sure we all know the trees got into my water pipe and flooded my basement kind of story that we hear a lot. And so we'll talk to them about, you know, like why that is kind of a common myth, and understanding that obviously, yeah, like having tree roots in your pipes flooding your basement is horrible and no one wants to deal with it. But, you know, like how can we tell them that it's not technically the tree's fault that your pipes were already leaking, and just kind of creating even a little bit of a change in people's minds for why trees are actually very beneficial, while also understanding that sometimes, yeah, they do get into your pipes and that just happens. So with this tree ambassadorship, we have an expected outcome of inputting at least 100 planting sites in low canopy neighborhoods. I don't think that will be very hard for us. Like I said, we already did, I think, 6 yesterday, and it's honestly pretty easy work because we're already out walking the streets doing our tree health assessments and our Treesilience recruitment. We also have to host 6 workshops or events to engage community members on the benefits of trees. And those workshops have to reach at least 250 residents in the neighborhood. So we'll be planning events coming up in the summer, and I will be sharing them with Laura to share to you all, because we would love for people to come out and see these workshops and participate in these workshops, and engage the communities that they're a part of. And then finally, we want to recruit even more tree ambassadors. As we're out there talking to people about the benefits of trees, we would love for them to also become tree ambassadors, because the more tree ambassadors we have, the more trees we can get planted and cared for. So in conclusion, some of the future of the program: IGHA has actually just started its new cohort last Monday, and we are actually looking for a mentor / assistant position for the conservation team. So if you know anyone who really likes being outside, is good with people and on a team, let them know that we're hiring. Treesilience is becoming more of a national initiative. It is currently in St. Louis, Orlando, and Chicago, and more cities are joining up. And it's very exciting because they're hopefully going to look at Chicago and use us as a model, and hopefully we can even collaborate with these other cities and teach them about like the way that we do things and how Treesilience works for us. Obviously, it's going to be different in every city, but it's still exciting that we're able to collaborate nationally on such an important initiative. Healthy Trees, Healthy Cities, as I said, is being updated to be more user-friendly. The app is wonderful, but it does have some bugs. And so at the end of June, hopefully all those bugs will be at least kind of alleviated to make our work even smoother, and even more people can now join the app and record their tree health data. And CRTI is just an example of how we are continuing to expand our work and make new partners within IGHA, which is very exciting because we want this work to continue and continue to grow. So yeah, thank you. This is a picture of the advocates and I eating ice cream on a really hot day. And it's one of my favorite pictures from last year. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And I'll also share my email with everyone.
I wish it was a hot day for ice cream. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute. We have about 7 minutes left. So
yeah. Hi, this is Joel here. Asia, in the top of the presentation, you talked about advocates being exposed to both conservation, but also community health. Can you talk a little bit about how that happens?
Hi, yeah. So we are partnered with Advocate Health Center. They've changed their name, so I kind of forget which one they're at. And so we do have 2 cohorts. I'm the conservation program leader. We do have a community health program leader. And the goal is they work together 5 times a month, where they're kind of learning about like what the community health cohort is doing, and how, you know, working in a hospital, working with patients, and working with people who have different health impacts, how is that connected directly to like the conservation world? You know, I teach them about how asthma rates are higher in low canopy neighborhoods, and low canopy neighborhoods are usually found in poorer neighborhoods. And so we're really just trying to bridge that connection that people's health is deeply connected to the health of the environment that they're in. And so that's kind of the goal. So the community health cohort does have their own goals and their own work that they do, but we do come together every Friday and discuss like what they learned and how those 2 things are greatly connected. Any other questions?
Hey, Asia, great presentation. Quick question for you. I wondered if you had handy a link for the mentor job application site at Trinity UCC that maybe could go into the chat.
That's a great question. I can send it to Laura so she can send it out, but it does have to be updated. So I'll send it as soon as it's updated.
Yeah, as soon as I get it, I will add it, or actually Oceana, who's here on the call, will add it to the Career Center. If you have any other job postings, any of you, feel free to add them directly to the job board here at this link, and we'll get it out there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, Bob Hoyer, H&A Networks. How does the tree plant, the work you're doing with trees, how does that align with the work that the organization is doing around organic gardening, farming, et cetera, specifically? And then more generally, how do you see your program fitting into the broader goal for Imani Village to support reinvestment in Cottage Grove Heights neighborhood?
Wow, that's a good question. So as of right now, we are not connected as much to the gardening. So Bob here obviously knows a lot of knowledge about Imani Village, which is great. Imani Village has a lot of different organizations and projects within it, and we are just one very small part of it. We do have an organic garden, and that is separate from us. We do talk to them and engage with them about like why gardening is important. And honestly, I think gardening is very radical to grow your own food and how that does impact people's health and the environment. And I hope for the future of the program, we can kind of engage a little bit more with that gardening initiative. We do work with other community gardens. We've planted trees at a number of community gardens in the past, but not necessarily the Imani Village one. And then I think that we are really just here to engage community members as well as do job training. So we're hiring people from within the community. We're talking to people within the community. We're educating people about the benefits of trees. We're getting people to feel more comfortable talking to strangers on the street, coming to events. And that's really what I think is the most important part of our job. I think tree planting is amazing. I think tree removals are amazing, but I think the most important part of our job is the fact that we are genuinely engaging a community and making them feel safer and happier and beautifying it, really.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have any other questions and you want to email me, please feel free. I do genuinely love talking about this, and I would love to connect with anyone who would like to partner with us. I bring in guest speakers all the time because I want my advocates to know that there are a lot of jobs within conservation. It's not just planting trees, even though planting trees is the best job in conservation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy.
Bye.